Scattered clouds with sunshine, but cooler on Friday. Good Thursday night, East Tennessee. David Aldridge, Captain Accurate here from the Captain Accurate Weather Command Center, where you can see from the Ultimate Doppler radar presented by Matlock Tire and Auto Repair Service. All is quiet across East Tennessee, and it will remain so for tonight, as we'll find maybe a few extra high clouds from time to time. But you'll notice we've got some snow across the Great Lakes. That's all going to be diving down to the south, which is why we have some flurries near the Tri-Cities, southern West Virginia tonight, and into the early hours of your Friday morning. But that will eventually try and work its way down. Our high temperature today hits 57. I was expecting 55. I even said a couple of times it wouldn't surprise me if we hit 56. But we did get a 33-mile-an-hour wind gust. And I also said the winds would be 25 to 30, but wouldn't be surprised if it were higher than 30. So we were in that ballpark today. High temperature normally about 48 this time of year, and 73, the actual record high from 1950. That was some time ago, as you can see there. But notice record low, -5. We've been as cold as that on this date. 57 the high in Maryville, Oak Ridge. It was 59 in Sevierville, but only 55 for Morristown, Talbot, Russellville, and White Pine. 55 in Kingston today, while it was 59 in Athens. Highs made it into the low 60s for Chattanooga, as well as 56 in Nashville earlier today. Now, as we look at the clouds, you can see they're going to be slowly advancing tonight, the high clouds. So we'll go from mostly clear to partly cloudy through the overnight period. By the way, if you haven't picked up the Captain Accurate weather app, I hope you'll do so. Pete Michaels traffic is there 24/7. You get that, plus all the weather alerts that things might happen throughout the day and into the season, because we have a lot of winter still yet to play out. Everything runs in cycles. You've heard that said before. Well, that's been so true in the last 2 weeks, because if you go back to about the 23rd of December, that's when all the wheels fell off the wagon. You know, some days are warm, some days are cold, some days are wet, some are dry. But if you go back, winter in Knoxville is just another day at the beach, my friend. You go back to the 23rd of December, last month, at midnight, it was 47 degrees. Now, that doesn't sound very warm, but for that time of the night, that time in the middle of the morning, yeah, it's a big warm spell. And we dropped 40 degrees in 8 hours. That was the Arctic blast. But we didn't stop there. We kept falling down to 4 by Friday afternoon, Friday night, and we were still around 4 degrees on Christmas Eve morning. Amazing, if you remember that. But then all of a sudden, everyone had a nice sun-filled Christmas, and then, lo and behold, dreaming of a white day after Christmas, we picked up 1.6 inches of snow at McGee-Tyson Airport. Many areas in Maryville had 2 inches of snow. But Rocky Top, formerly known as Lake City, and also Tazewell, had nothing to report. So how could we have 0 to 2 inches? Well, that's what we had. Yours truly was calling for 0 to an inch plus, and we ended at 1.6. Then all of a sudden, 10 days later, Tuesday, just a couple of days ago, we hit a record high of 75. So it's like low tide and high tide at the beach. While you're reading a book and suddenly your towel gets washed away, you probably don't think much of it, but it happens all the time. That's how weather works. It runs in cycles. We spend too much time, in my view, of focusing and being preoccupied with averages. Why be average when Mother Nature is always in flux? All right, so headlines: mountain flakes late tonight, early Friday, scattered clouds and sunshine Friday and cooler, and then rain and wet snow possible on Saturday, but that's going to be mainly north of I-40. I'll explain here in just a second. Let's take a look at all the storm reports. Most of them snow up here in parts of Wisconsin. They had about half an inch, maybe a 0.9. I know they had more than that. 2 inches there. Let's go to Minnesota. 13 inches. Now you're talking. Washington County in Minnesota picking up over a foot of snow. Amazing how they're still seeing the flakes fly up there. But we take a look at the futurecast for tonight. It's going to take all night long to see some of that snow, make it down to Beckley, make it into maybe, say, southwestern Virginia, maybe even make it into the Tri-Cities like so at 10:45 tomorrow morning. So it's really going to be pretty hard to discern some of those flurries. It's just not going to be a big deal. But even still, if you're traveling in that direction, you may encounter a little bit of snow flakage flying through the air. Now, when we move into Saturday morning, this is where it gets interesting. There's 4 a.m. I see a little bit of blue in those same areas around southwest Virginia. Some of the models, again, want to keep it to the north of I-40, and that's because of the warm front. That's driving this precipitation. It's overrunning into the parts right along the Tennessee-Kentucky line. As we met into 5:30, it looks like this, and then it wants to fade away. So really, it's the morning hours on Saturday has the potential for a few flakes to reappear in a few spots. Is it a big deal? Absolutely not. But if you're traveling or you live in this area, you might say, I didn't expect this. So I want you to expect the possibility if you're in, say, Hancock County, you're in Claiborne County, there's a chance that you could get a few flakes on Saturday morning. Now, once we get to Sunday, the warm air transport, as it's called, the warm air advection, begins to move in. So it's just rain. There's a little bit of a mix there in far northern Kentucky, but we're going to be looking at just a rain event on Sunday, where we get a lot of clouds and periods of rain at times. So that's the way things are trending, at least right now. But as far as what we're seeing in terms of the amount of rain, probably closer to a half inch could fall just on Sunday. So here's the Futurecast. It sees an entirely different situation. I want to show you this too. As you'll notice, the temperatures cool us down to the low 30s overnight. There's a little bit of snowflakes near Jonesville. We head into about 7 a.m. tomorrow. Lots of sun, a few scattered clouds, especially east, but we're cold in the lower 30s. Then we move into midday tomorrow. Many of us in the lower to mid 40s, not much higher than that. We'll finish the day about 49 for Knoxville, about 49 for Oak Ridge in Anderson County. But lo and behold, Friday night we start to cloud back up and the rain starts to move in, but it wants to change over. I can see some blue, maybe not at 3 a.m., maybe at 5, I see some blue around Jonesville, and some of it may work its down into parts of Claiborne, maybe Hancock County, Sneedville. Say, hey, I got big flakes. It's going to be on that cusp of just marginally cold enough to produce some snow. So that means the flakes will be very large and very wet. Makes for great snowballs if you get some. But this is happening at 6:30 in the morning, potentially, and you'll notice it's nowhere near Maryville. Maryville's like, we had 2 inches, like the day after Christmas. That's true. But you're not going to be in the line of fire here because it's all going to be mainly north thanks to the orientation of the warm front. So when we got that cleared and settled, most of the snow, you can see, look at Greenville. They're turning red. Turning a little bit of mix, maybe some sleet, some freezing rain, icy pellets, perhaps some snowflakes. So it's not a clear-cut situation, but the trend is definitely keeping it north of I-40 right through Saturday morning. This is 9 a.m., still snowing, and then we go back to the rainy pattern for the rest of the day, and I have about a 40% chance of precipitation on Saturday, but most of it north of I-40. So for tonight, we're down to 33. Clear skies, mostly clear, giving way to partly cloudy skies, and some mountain flurries, especially north and east of Gatlinburg, will be on the table. We move into tonight, we're down to 29, Crossville, Oneida, 32, Oak Ridge and Clinton, and 30 degrees from Sevierville towards Seymour. Now, Friday, we're about to 49, scattered clouds and sunshine. I think we're going to find a little bit brighter conditions further west of I-75, but it's a cooler day because we hit 57 today. We're going to be 8 degrees cooler tomorrow at 49. 47 for Morristown, 48 Middlesboro, and 50 for Athens tomorrow afternoon. Here's your Captain Accurate Weather Authority forecast for Knoxville, East Tennessee. You'll notice I've got a little transitions here. You can see 80% chance of rain on Sunday. We're back to 53, and because we're starting the morning Sunday at 41, it's just a liquid event. And maybe some spots of rain in the morning on Monday as it exits, and maybe you see a little bit of drops or flakes coming in very late Tuesday night before the sun comes up on Wednesday. But we'll keep an eye. There's a very active pattern setting up in the next couple of days that go beyond the 7 days, so I would encourage you to check out my premium service. You say, what is that? That's on Facebook. My premium service, and we're talking about snow and the potential and laying down the groundwork for the next snow event here in Knoxville, and I think it could be sooner than you might expect. And it's not just the ones we just highlighted here. We could see some down the road as well. Anyway, make sure you download the free Captain Accurate Weather app, Pete Michaels Traffic. It's free at the App Store and Google Play. And of course, you can find out all you'd like to know about premium on CaptainAccurate.com. My name is David Aldridge. Some people call me Captain Accurate. It's not easy being accurate, so weather doesn't surprise you. We'll see you here next time. Take care.